Father Tom Maloney, pastor of St. Amelia Church, and with me is Peggy Frandina of the Parish Healthcare Ministry. We put together this video for those who will be helping as parking lot attendants. You can watch this video, you can review it, keep it as your own, and we hope it's helpful. First, I want to say thanks to you for volunteering for this ministry. We think it's a very important one. I love the idea that one generation is attentive to and helping another generation. I guess at base we recognize that all of us are someday going to be senior citizens, and all of us probably are going to have some physical challenges, so it's good that we are attentive to that. I'd like to walk you through a couple of the preliminary steps. What do you do when you arrive to become a parking lot attendant? Well, the very first thing, I have these listed on the board behind me, we ask you to arrive a half hour early. And the reason for that is this, that people who are up in years and people especially who are physically challenged like to get places ahead of time. They generally give themselves a lot of lead time. And it's quite common that they would arrive for Mass a full half hour before Mass starts because they recognize they're going to need that extra time. So we ask you to be there a half hour ahead of time. Go to the usher's room, and there you'll find a sign-in book, so put your name there. Along with the sign-in book, by the way, there will be a printed sheet that you can use to remind yourself of some of the things we're covering in this video. Then we ask you to put on one of the vests. The vests identify you to the people needing help as someone who is there for them. It also identifies you to the other parishioners and says that you are someone who has given of his time and his energy to help people who need help. Then we ask you to stand outside the front door of the church. Now, your main focus would be on people who come and park in the handicapped sections that are in the front of the parking lot. You need to be attentive to that and watch that. But while you're waiting for people to help, we ask you simply to open the door for people who come and say good morning to them. I'm going to hand you off now to Mrs. Frandina, who will help you to understand what to do next.
There are 3 steps to this process: welcoming, moving, and tripping hazards. The welcoming phase, it would be a good idea for you to approach the person from the front so they can see you coming. And 2 important questions to ask are, may I help you? And if they consent to you helping, then the next question is, how may I help you? What would be best for me to do? At this point, the person is telling you what works for them. When you are speaking with the person, be sure that you speak very slowly, very confidently, and enunciate all your words. If you speak in a nice tone to the person, they will be able to hear you. Many people hesitate to say, "What? Excuse me?" So speak very slowly, confidently, and enunciate your words because they may be looking at your lips as well. The next phase is the moving phase. At this point, you want to be sure that the person is ready and that you are ready. So stand very confidently with them and you yourself silently count to 3. This does a variety of things. The first thing it does is it calms you down. It gives you time to gather your thoughts, and it also pauses so the person that you're helping can also gather themselves. The next point is you want to be sure that the person has both feet firmly on the ground. And as long as we're talking about feet, you need to look at your feet as well. Are they firmly planted on the ground? And by this I mean, what footwear do you have on? Be sure that you have footwear that's going to help you move and not create a tripping hazard to you. So be sure you want to have sneakers or very secure shoes. You're not going to have flip-flops in the summer, and you're not going to have high-heeled boots in the winter. When both feet are firmly planted on the ground, it gives us a good basis to stand up. I've seen people put one foot out of the car and the other foot in the car, and somehow they manage to get up. And I think to myself, oh boy, this is an accident waiting to happen. Because you are with them, that isn't going to occur. Once the 2 feet of the person you're assisting are firmly on the ground, the next thing is the person has to stand up. How they're going to do this is to remember the phrase, push up. You're going to push up. They may have a hand on the seat of the car, one on the steering wheel of the door of the car, but they're pushing up. They're not pulling on you. They're pushing up. Once they are standing, the next point to remember is you're going to ask them, how are you feeling? Are you okay? More importantly, are you dizzy? Some people, when they stand up, they start to get dizzy. Again, you want to be sure that the person is okay. If they do feel dizzy or uneasy, help them sit back down again and start the process over. Let's go to the point where the person is standing. The person is now standing. As you're coming into the phase of moving, you're going to offer your arm to them. You're going to bend your arm at the elbow and have them hold on to this point. And you start moving into church, which comes to phase 3 or step 3, which is pointing out hazards. Any change on the floor can create a tripping hazard. It could be the little line in the blocks of the concrete, or it could be the threshold getting into the narthex. Whatever change has occurred on the floor, the walking area, you point out to the person you're assisting, saying, we're now at the threshold of the door. Be sure to step up. When you're coming into the narthex, remember too that even the rugs on the floor, that is a change in the floor. They also can cause a person to trip. So point out to them, here is the rug. If we have more than one rug in the narthex, when you progress from one rug to the next, tell the person, we're now going on to the next rug. And again, when you're coming into the church proper, there is a threshold in that doorway as well. When you get to the chair for the person that they're going to be sitting in, be sure that they're close enough to the chair to sit down. And ask them, do you need help sitting down? If they say yes, be sure that they either touch both sides of the chair and also maybe even feel the back of their legs on the chair. This way, if they're touching the chair arms, you know they're close enough to sit down. Help them sit down, and before you leave them, ask them, would you like help coming out of church? If they say yes, the next question would be, what time do you leave Mass? Is it after communion or is it after the service? And then repeat the steps in reverse order, going back to their car. And again, thank you again for offering to assist in this wonderful ministry.
Let's see how this works out in practice. As you can see, the parking lot attendant approaches from the front, asks if he can help. She says, yes, you can. How can I help? She says, well, we have a wheelchair in the trunk. We didn't go over wheelchairs in our presentation, but that's to show that things don't always work out the way we have planned. So there's a wheelchair. He's getting the wheelchair out of the trunk and assembling it, putting it together so it can be usable. Now, I don't know if he's ever put together a wheelchair before, but she's there. She has done it, and she kind of tells him what to do. He has good footwear on, you can notice that, and she's instructing him on the proper assemblage of the wheelchair. What he's going to do next, once he has the wheelchair put together and ready for operation, he's going to proceed to the other side door, the passenger side, and he's going to speak to the person who will be using the wheelchair. Again, he approaches the wheelchair occupant. He's opening the door, helping the gentleman out. The gentleman is saying, you need to lock the wheels on the wheelchair before I use it. Notice, yes, so he's going to lock the wheels. Again, the people who come have come by themselves without any help many times before. You're just assisting. They They know the procedure better than you do. Notice how the wheelchair person has pushed up, and now he's comfortably in the wheelchair. The wheelchair gets unlocked. The door of the car gets closed. And he wheels the individual across the parking lot and into the church. He's going to point out hazards, such as this little ramp here that's coming up. Easy does it, nice and slow. He's up the ramp. Now, notice he's going to turn around so that he can enter the church pulling the wheelchair rather than pushing it, because there's a barrier here, and it's a lot easier if you pull. Easily done. Nice demonstration. Nice work from our parking lot attendant. I hope this video has been helpful for you. I want to thank you once again for volunteering to help us in this way. May God be with you, and please go in peace.